Alright, so this is my presentation for my internship, which was through the Kansas Wesleyan athletic training room. So the table of contents, so brief overview of what we're going to do or go over is the background of everything that went on throughout the entire internship, introduction of it, and overview of both the what went on in the training room and what went on in the baseball field as well, and then also the challenges and lessons that came along with it, and then concluding at the very end. So a little bit of a background. I interned at Kansas Wesleyan, where I worked both in the training room and at the with the baseball team, which I'm a current or almost non-current member of, but still a current member of. Um, I learned about the internship through my advisor, Professor Brian Minnick. He came to me one day when we were kind of trying to discuss. We had talked about a few opportunities, and we both agreed that this would be the best for me since it was my final year and I could go to school at the same time and perform the internship as well. And it offered my internship to be in a therapeutic setting, which is something that in the future I hope to pursue a career in. The application process included a lot of paperwork, which required me to communicate with the school member, a lot of faculty members, both in the front office and Professor Minnick himself too. So I was primarily using email as my communication source. So a little bit of an introduction to the entire internship. The primary topic of my internship was athletic training, as I stated earlier, which is a similar career route that I would like to use in the near future. My entire in the past, about a year ago, I worked with a physical therapist office called Athletica, a local place in my hometown. But I worked as a both physical therapist and rehab and occupational therapist aide, which I plan on in the near future entering into an occupational therapy program. So I was excited when I began this internship to kind of work in a new setting in the training room, which I really haven't gotten to deal with. One, which included obviously primarily athletes, and then two, a bit of a younger crowd as well. I was interested in this internship opportunity because it gave me a chance to start my social networking skills and also step out of my comfort zone a little bit as well too. So those two things are something that I haven't really gotten to experience a whole lot as I'm still young and just exiting college. So overview of what work I did within the training room. It was a clinical setting primarily. So I did that for the entire first semester in the fall, where I rotated working about 7-ish hours a day, depending on the week. So I worked with the athletic trainers, the head trainer Dan O'Connell, Sam, Elizabeth, and Eric, and they were all fantastic to work with the entire time. I got to pick their brains and learn a whole lot from them. I was able to perform duties such as observing these four athletic trainers and then assisting the athletes with exercises or assisting the trainer, whether it be going to grab them a specific tool to use or whatever the case may be. And I also got to apply various healing mechanisms. For example, one of our mechanisms would be game ready. I got to apply that to many students, and also the leg compression sleeves and the arm compression sleeves, and just tons of machines like that. Also got to use items or methods such as cupping, which is what I performed my research paper on. And also, with it being COVID and obviously being in a training room setting, you have to keep everything clean and sanitary, which I was also in charge of that too, and where I also performed a lot of laundry duties as well too. And during the downtime, which there wasn't really a whole lot of downtime, thankfully, which made the days go by fast in an enjoyable way as well, though. So during downtime, I was able to converse with the trainers and just kind of pick their brains on what course would be best for me or what career path would be best for me, what they saw best for me in the end. So this is I'm sure you guys are familiar with it, obviously, but this is a picture of our athletic training room. And then, so overview of the baseball setting of what I kind of did with the baseball players. So that was the second part of my internship, where from the minute I got back in the winter, from about April, I think about April 19th or so, I stopped working with the baseball team. I worked primarily with the KWU's athletic trainer, Eric Dorado, who was great the entire time. I was able to sit by him during multiple games and pick his brain a lot and get a lot of good information from him. I was able to observe in multiple settings within this portion. Obviously, this is a game-like setting, so everything happens really quick, and you're doing evaluations and other things like that super quickly. So I was able to work at Dean Evans Stadium, which is our home stadium, as you know, or may or may not know. The baseball team's practice field, which is just down the road from us, about 10 minutes down the road. And then obviously opposing team complexes. And then also I got to work back in the clinical setting, but I primarily helped Eric with only the baseball guys. So with that clinical setting, I was mainly working out on the field and then doing a little bit of clinical as well too. So during downtime with Eric, I would go over different ways to help, how to help each particular player in what they might need. So for example, we had a catcher that's been battling both knee and shoulder problems the entire year. So we went over things constantly and strategies of what we can do to keep him healthy and keep playing the remainder of the year. Same thing with a number of pitchers that were dealing with various arm injuries as well. So this is the KWU setting. Here's both the home, or the two different views of the home field. So some challenges and lessons. These are the challenges and lessons that were faced within this internship. So motivating the athletes was probably the biggest one, because I'm sure if you played a sport yourself, you can imagine getting hurt is not fun for anybody, because that just means you're not at practice, you're not at the games, you're there, but you're not really there. You're just kind of sitting around doing nothing and then just waiting for whatever the injury it is to heal. So trying to get those athletes to be motivated to continue and stay on that therapeutic path was probably the hardest thing to do. Also putting myself out there early at first. I'm the type of person where for the most part, I have to get comfortable with my setting where I'm at. So if I could change something, I would definitely put myself out there even more, because after that first month or so, I was able to start getting into like a groove of things. I wish I would have started that a little bit sooner though, and ask more questions frequently, and instead of just watching all the time, which it's okay to watch and learn, but still. Also getting used to the routine at first too. It was just tough with that, because I was balancing school and internship and going to baseball practice. And then once I started doing the stuff with the baseball team, had to balance that as well too. So balancing all those things became a bit of a hassle at first, but then I was able to develop a kind of routine and help get myself out of that. So lessons would be to be willing to step in no matter what and not be shy at all, which kind of ties into my point of challenges, where putting myself out there earlier. So be willing to step up earlier and kind of take on that role. That way I wasn't kind of being a liability in any way at first. Also be patient, especially with people going through a tough time, because like I said, no athlete likes getting hurt. So being patient with them would be the lesson I learned, and the most effective way to deal with a athlete that's in pain. And then always keep a chin up, smile on my face, because it can change someone's day. I know for me, I mean, when I was a freshman, I had a bad arm injury, and then coming in to see the trainers' smiling faces, usually they're always in there laughing, goofing around, having a good time. So just kind of keeping the vibes good and happy in there in the training room is an effective method that I would like to do, and something that I saw was a good lesson learned. And then obviously all the attitude factors are what I try to regularly perform anyway, so which I feel is why I think a therapeutic setting would be good for me. Another lesson would be I learned that the best way to learn is through communication, which is true, because you can communicate in all kinds of ways, whether it be just communicating on work time and other valuable components that go into the workforce. So, and then this internship also strengthened my interest to enter the career field of my choice, which is occupational therapy. So, which is obviously a therapeutic setting. So, allowing myself to kind of see what it's like to work in the world of therapy developed my love and kind of interest in the field of occupational therapy as well too. Um, I know it says I'm not really sure exactly what setting, because I've also thought about personal training and other things like that. But a sports setting or sport type therapeutic like setting is definitely what I learned to be my field of choice after working with these great trainers here. And then to conclude, I'd like to thank my professor Brian Minnick and my advisor for initially telling me about this position or internship in the fall. So thank you to my professor Brian Minnick. Also, I would like to thank my supervisor Dan O'Connell for allowing me to work with his great trainers and for giving me a lot of information that will stick around with me for a long time. And then finally, I'd like to thank everyone in the KW office for making all of this possible. Of course, I couldn't have done this without you guys. And that concludes the course of my video. Thank you for watching.